This is the Prospect Talk podcast, the one and only.
What's going on, boys?
What's going on, guys? We got a special episode today.
It's a special occasion.
It's a full house.
Special occasion.
It is.
We got Danny, Doug, Eli, and we have Fernando in the studio today.
In studio.
It's
from
a pleasure,
Virginia.
boys. It's a pleasure to see you.
It's nice seeing you, man.
Absolutely.
Big shout out to Spirit Airlines.
All right, so I definitely came in American Airlines. All right.
Yeah, you won't have to listen to him coming through like a phone anymore, which is nice.
Yeah, I would like to apologize because you guys actually got to listen to him this time.
Yeah.
Well, I want to apologize for you guys having to listen to Doug for these past couple weeks.
You know how
what
it
it
is.
I mean, I think the first thing on that we have to talk about, obviously, is the NBA playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I think me and Nando won a bet in these playoffs.
That's right. Let's remind the listeners what
I
that was.
don't recall.
Ah, convenient.
So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Eli and Danny both had Celtics in 6, and me and Nando had Bucks in 6.
So you lost the bet because it was Bucks in 5.
Exactly. So
what I meant was I had the
6 games.
Celtics losing within 6 games. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, right.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I thought we were all like, I thought that was.
Remember the gray area we were talking about in the NBA book?
So you know what? I just want to say how like displeased I am with both of you. That as my friends, I feel like you guys would understand what I'm talking about and listen to me. But that just proves that you guys, it just goes one ear and out the other.
Facts.
We'll leave it to listeners.
In all honesty, that series didn't go the way I expected
Me
at
neither.
all.
Especially after game 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the biggest X factor in that was Kyrie, right? Kyrie not being able to perform.
Not showing up, man.
Not showing up whatsoever.
And I don't even necessarily think it was his gameplay, even though, yes, he wasn't up to Kyrie playoff that we know. But his leadership, his lack of leadership on the court is what really showed.
And I think that spurs the question, like, is he a guy, like, he's going to get a max contract wherever he goes, of course.
Deservingly so.
Yeah, he's one of the best point guards in the league. But is he a guy that you can solely rely on to be a leader on your team? Or is he exactly what he was when LeBron was with him in Cleveland? Is he a second fiddle?
That's the thing. Like, I mean, you look at these guys, it's still a young team. They're looking for guidance. They're looking for somebody who's been there before multiple times to be able to, to encourage them or to kind of lead them to that. But, what happens here? They lose, 4.
Yeah, I think Kyrie is a 1A, 1B type of guy. So, with that being said, I don't want to call him a second fiddle, but he does need another dominant personality. Which is tough because he doesn't like that. And that was his whole complaint. But he needs it because he's shown that he's not capable of leading a team. Yeah,
I think this series really, really proved that. And I think, for me, I think when it's just Kyrie on his own, it doesn't look like he's a guy that can just handle all the pressure on his shoulders. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he has that like killer, like, he doesn't have the Mamba mentality. You know what I mean? Where he's like, I'm going to put this shit on my shoulders and I'm going to go through it. Like I feel like out of everyone in the playoffs right now, I feel like Dame has that mentality the most. You know what I mean? Where he's like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be me and I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah, I guess Dame.
But I don't think Kyrie has that mentality, which I think you kind of need to be like a top tier player in the league.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of disappointing. I'm a big Kyrie fan, but I mean, let's stop talking about Kyrie because
I want to get Doug's take real quick because he's awfully quiet over there.
Take on what? Kyrie? He's been trash. He's shooting 20% from the 3-point line this series. Absolute garbage. He's really his assists aren't even there compared to what they are within the regular season. Jaylen Brown.
So not only is he not shooting well, but he's also not helping his teammates get better.
Exactly.
So I think we see that in Toronto with Kyle Lowry, that even when he doesn't score and even when he's not capable of scoring, he's still able to get his rebounds, his assists, and help his team.
Yeah, that's where we just compared Lowry and Kyrie. But yeah, I would agree.
I mean, I would, on regular circumstances, I would never do that. But I think you kind of have to at this point.
Are we all agreeing that the Celtics are a better team without Kyrie Irving?
I think. So I don't want to say that. I feel like they're more cohesive, and that induces better gameplay from certain of their players.
Exactly, because even if you look at the assist numbers, they weren't very good all around for the team. Like, they're not passing the ball. And you could see that on the court when they play each other.
Well, that's because when Kyrie is on the court, he requires the ball so much. He's very ball dominant. That stops the flow of the other players.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys operate very well off of slashing and cutting and a lot of passes and things like that. So it's hard to do that when you have Kyrie constantly just stopping the flow of the game.
So Terry Rozier came out, I think, yesterday or the day before and said that he's the guy who had to sacrifice the most this NBA season out of anybody.
Well, if you look at the team itself, the players who did play well for the Celtics aren't players that need the ball, like Al Horford, Jaylen Brown had a couple of good games, Marcus Morris, but the people that do, Gordon Hayward, Tatum, Rozier, like they weren't playing well at all.
It's because he takes up so much of the ball space.
Yeah, exactly. So I agree with how Terry said. He did have to sacrifice the most, but his shooting was atrocious this series as well. He shot 15% from three-pointer and 28% from the field in general. So is that really the guy you want taking big shots?
Yeah, but he's not. No one's saying that that's the guy that we want taking big shots, but he's a guy that when they're successful, he's a guy that's involved.
And with that being said, he didn't get an opportunity to be involved in the game. Those are probably skewed stats because they're end of the quarter shots thrown up because that's the only opportunity he gets to score.
And although Kyrie's the main guy on that team, I think the two biggest X factors for the Celtics are Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier. When they're having good games, the Celtics win. That's just what it boils down to.
But Smart only played 2 games this series because he was injured.
Yeah, he's been hurt.
That's a factor of why I think if you have more guys that can be a spark plug, it helps other guys get going. And maybe, who knows, maybe Kyrie starts landing a couple shots. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. Giannis looked extremely, extremely dominant all series long.
All season long.
So, well, yeah. But that begs the question, like, who's having the better postseason? Giannis, Kawhi, or KD before his injury?
So let's just go around the room real quick and just one answer. All right, Fence, one answer.
Yeah, Nando. You need to pick one guy. You can't be like, well, I see the argument for this guy, but I don't know.
All right, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to say Kawhi.
I'll go Kawhi.
I think I'll have to go Giannis.
Well, obviously, I'm going to go with KD.
Dear God, I don't even know why we asked you.
He went with Kawhi.
Wow.
He's Toronto fan. He went with Kawhi. So.
Yeah, but you're notorious for being biased.
Dude, if you just look at the way KD's been playing this whole playoffs, he's been out of his mind.
I don't know. The Golden State Warriors played very well without him.
Exactly.
They played very well without him.
So Golden State can win without KD. Toronto cannot win a game without Kawhi Leonard.
Milwaukee can't win a game without Giannis.
Even I don't know where the KD thing came out of, to be honest. But yeah, without Kawhi, Toronto doesn't win without Giannis.
We only played without KD for 7 minutes, and we barely won.
That's an impressive win, though. That's a real impressive win against one of the better teams in the league.
That was a huge win, and I think that was a big moment for Steph to show, like, like, when I need to turn it on, I will, but I'm just taking a backseat to KD because he's so good.
We need Clay. That's the number one guy we need to get
Clay
going.
showed up.
Well, he showed up in the first half.
In the first quarter and in the fourth quarter.
In the fourth, yeah, when KD went down.
Because he went through a stretch from the second and the third quarter.
1 for 9.
Where he didn't look good whatsoever.
So now that KD is down, do you think Clay's going to have to... Oh, he's going to have to step up, obviously, but do you think he's going to be able to match that intensity?
Game 6 Clay. The GOAT Clay. We need him. We need to win this in Game 6 because KD's going to be out for the rest of the series.
So with that being said, I think we can just eliminate Doug's pick. Yeah. I think he's done that himself. KD's not having the best. He's having a phenomenal NBA playoffs, but he's not having a better one than Kawhi and Giannis, and he's definitely not as important to his team that they are.
No, whatsoever. And so for me, I have to say Giannis just because right now I feel like Kawhi, even though he's having such a great postseason, he's getting a decent amount of help from the guys around him. Like, Siakam is going off. He's playing very well.
Very well, yeah.
Say what you want about Kyle Lowry, but I feel like he's better than last year's playoff Kyle Lowry, which doesn't really say much, but it's still something helping you out. I think for Giannis, he has less of those guys to really help him out as much as.
That's where I disagree. I think he has more of those guys.
I mean, Chris Middleton's
a great player. He's been playing great this playoffs. Eric Bledsoe's a shutdown defender. majority of the point guards he goes up against, and he did a good job against Kyrie this series.
And George Hill is balling out.
Oh my God!
Oh, George Hill
come from?
Yeah, I kind of forgot about George Hill.
Turning back the clock.
So the only thing is that Giannis is doing all this without a perimeter shot. Like, he has a very mediocre perimeter shot, and he's getting to the paint at will, like getting his shot so in such a dominant fashion that I think it overpowers whatever Kawhi is doing in Toronto.
I would have to disagree. I think watching Kawhi play, the efficiency, we're seeing comparisons to Michael Jordan. Not saying it's deserving, but we're seeing those comparisons, and the man is averaging 38 points per game these playoffs on 62% shooting. That's insane.
Which is historic.
And he's shooting threes. He's shooting jump shots. So that's crazy.
Yeah, he's shooting 40%.
And he's playing
three.
great defense.
And he's the best two-way player in the league.
Because who do they have him guarding right now?
Ben Simmons.
Who's non-existent this playoff series.
Ben Simmons averaged 17 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds in the regular season. This series, he's averaging 6 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists.
Well, you have to keep in mind that Toronto likes playing the slower half-court game. They don't play that big transition offense that like Philly does. And we've heard it time and time again. Ben Simmons is a transition player. He's not a half-court guy because he doesn't have a shot.
Yeah, but when you have a claw in your face.
I think the big thing for me is that, like, it's a great point, Daniel. You said that, that Giannis is getting the majority of his shots in the paint, but I think a little bit of that, or, a significant part of that has to be attributed to the coaching staff, the plays that you draw up, the team itself playing that, you know what I mean? With Kawhi, he's getting these stats, obviously, with the coaching, but then he has to make some individual shots himself, too, which he's done. You know what I mean? So I think a little bit more of him individually. And he's more of a perimeter shooter, obviously, that helps.
I'll give you that. Maybe it's a 1A, 1B type thing, because I think they're both playing
both phenomenal, yeah.
But we know Kawhi's 1A. Let's put that on the record. And then also the championship experience by Kawhi, I think, is really showing.
But I mean, leadership experience is invaluable.
I would
if you've been there before and you know how to lead a team through those same trials and tribulations of a playoff series, I think that's the most valuable thing you can bring to a team, even if you aren't playing well. And then on top of that, he is playing extremely well. So
now, if Giannis can continue this play, and that'll say a lot about his character because he doesn't have that experience.
Well, they're going to match up in the Eastern Conference.
That's what's going to end up happening, and I think that's going to be a great match.
So they'll settle this debate for us. But let's go back to what we were talking about with KD and that injury. How's that affect Golden State?
I think it definitely requires like Steph and Klay to like step up, but I think they're more than capable of doing so.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in the Rockets. So disappointed. That was their opportunity right there to steal Game 5.
But we could have stolen Game 3. So.
But they could have stolen
Game 4. So
they could have stolen Game 1 and Game 2.
But that's the way the series goes.
But you can play would have, could have, should have. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So like, we can only talk about like the last game, really, because you can't go back and to say 3 games ago this and this happened.
Yeah, Doug. All I'm saying is that they had an opportunity to win Game 5 with KD being.
They could have, with him being down, they could have easily taken all the momentum from that series and put it on their backs. The same way Golden State did that to the Spurs when Kawhi went down.
Yeah,
absolutely. That was a game changer,
a series changer, honestly.
Yeah.
And for the Spurs, a franchise changer.
They won't be the same after that. But I don't know.
Our biggest problem is going to be our depth. Like, who's going to play those minutes?
I saw Jerebko playing. Ooh.
God,
Jerebko.
Do you see him hit the side of the backboard when he shot a 3?
So the problem is that
like Nando out there.
The guys that you guys used to rely on for depth, like Sean Livingston and Iggy, are starting to show that they're slowing down and regressing.
Well, no, Iggy's playing really, really well. Sean Livingston's not playing well.
But Iggy's not playing the minutes that he used to play. Or, well, he's going to have to now.
Yeah.
He's playing 34.
Yeah, he's playing a lot. He has a high usage, and I think they're starting him.
Yeah, he is. He's starting. We're playing with the Hamptons 5 lineup.
How many minutes is Draymond playing?
Draymond's playing 41 minutes.
Draymond's playing phenomenal.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
Draymond's looking like old Draymond.
Yeah.
In a season where he hasn't looked like that.
He's on the defensive end, he's shutting it down in the paint. Like, he's making Clint Capella look like a fool.
Yeah, Capella, I'm so disappointed once again. He talked so much crap going into the series and has not showed up. Maybe Game 3 he showed up, but that's about it.
I feel like the only people for the Rockets that have shown up are obviously Harden and PJ Tucker.
Oh, you forgot about Eric Gordon.
Eric Gordon.
I feel like every time Eric Gordon shoots the ball, he's making it.
Yeah, it's going in.
I hate when he shoots.
So is
much.
Chris Paul starting to look old?
I don't know if it's that he's starting to look old.
He's playing great defense on Steph. Right?
Yeah, because you can tell he's still athletic and he can still move.
But offensively, I feel like he doesn't have that mojo. Like, he's scared to shoot almost. I'm like, there's so many times he gets the ball, I'm like, shoot.
But I don't think Chris Paul's offensive game style fits with that offense.
Because it runs so much through Harden?
He's a drive and kick guy.
Yes.
That's what he likes to do.
And being that, essentially, Harden's the point guard on that team. The ball's in his hands a lot more.
And that's something Chris Paul isn't always used to. He's used to handling the ball a lot.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think that's why you don't see like the big offensive numbers from Chris Paul anymore. But he's still playing a great role for that team.
He is.
And the IQ is always going to be there.
Of course.
That's something invaluable to have on the court.
Veteran leadership, not a lot of playoff
he's still
experience.
The floor general. He's still the general of that team.
Yeah. But I just don't think. I think as long as he's in Houston with that team, I think his offensive numbers won't be where they were before.
Yeah, I just want him to step it up a little bit in key opportunities, like the end of Game 3 or Game 4 when he had a chance to win the game,
and he passed up the shot.
No, he didn't get a shot up. Clay just had his hand on the ball the whole time.
Yeah,
like come on.
Then was it Game 2 where he had a wide open three and he just passed the ball?
He passed it to Eric Gordon, which was out of bounds.
So one guy that I want to talk about underperforming is Joel Embiid. So everyone know that he's batting like flu-like symptoms. He's been sick, and he texted their coach. I think the first day that he was sick, I think it was Game 4. He texted their coach at like 5 a.m. He's like, I'm trying to get myself to feel right for the game, but I don't know. And he kind of forced himself to play, and it looked like you could tell he played like absolute trash. So for me, I have to ask you guys, like, I feel that the top tier players in the league find ways to get the job done even when they are sick. And I think that's very telling.
I disagree. I don't say top tier players. I think special players. There's a difference. A top tier player to me is Westbrook and Steph and those guys, but special players are the KDs, the LeBrons. I expect that more out of them.
Jordans.
PG and Russ were playing with injuries that entire playoff series.
And they lost,
But they still look good. They still put up good numbers.
They look okay, but it wasn't good enough. Kind of like Joel Embiid. He was okay.
Well, they run through a buzzsaw with Portland. That's the only problem. But you can't say that they had a bad series. Whereas with Joel Embiid, he's looking bad. He's looking slow. He's looking sluggish. It looks like his illness is really taking a toll on him. Even on the bench, when you see him, he's like hunched over. He doesn't look like he's breathing well. And at what point do you say, hey, maybe I'm hurting my team more than by being out there?
I don't think he is, because they don't have any other options at that big man, which Toronto's a big team and very lengthy, so they need his presence out there. Mm-hmm. So I think he's still helping the team, but I'm not expecting for Joel Embiid to put the team on his back against Toronto and show out.
Well, he kind of has to, because Ben Simmons, you can't have, so you have 3 guys there. You have Jimmy Butler, you have Ben Simmons, and you have Joel Embiid. We already talked about it. Ben Simmons is non-existent this series, right? Jimmy Butler's been playing well. But does that mean, being with Joel being sick, does that mean that Jimmy Butler has to put the team on his back?
Well, I think Tobias Harris needs to step up.
Yeah, Tobias Harris needs to step up.
Yeah,
but those players that you acquired.
That's not. Those guys are great guys and they're good players. But I don't think those are guys that you can completely rely on for an entire series. You have your 3 main guys for a reason. They need to be able to play to whatever standard at any time.
I think I put more blame on Ben Simmons than I do on Joel Embiid. Just because, like you said, Embiid's battling something and he's obviously not himself. Where Ben Simmons is battling Kawhi, which might be worse than what Joel Embiid is battling.
Well, it is, because he's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. And that's what happens when you don't have a jump shot.
True.
Yeah, he's getting exposed. And I don't know if it went over your guys' head, but I meant to say, Kawhi might be a little bit worse than the flu.
We got it. Okay. We got it.
Right,
it just mind. Wasn't.
Was Jared Dudley onto something?
It just wasn't that. It just wasn't that clever.
All right.
So while we're talking about the Sixers, question for you guys. Jimmy Butler's going to be a free agent this summer. Do you guys find him to be a max player?
I think he's playing into one right now.
I don't think he's a max player, but I think somebody will give him a contract of a max player.
Yeah, I agree.
Though, you want to fix your throat before we talk next time?
Yeah, clear your throat next time you talk to us.
You want some water?
No, I agree. I think somebody's going to end up reaching for him. Please, dear God, don't let it be the Knicks.
It's going to be the Knicks.
I hope to God it's not the Knicks.
I think you have to say he is a max player. He's one of the better players in the league. And then if you go by the standard of who's getting maxes, he definitely fits that criteria.
The only thing that the team, let's be real though, wherever he goes, he's probably going to be the guy on that team, correct?
Well, that's the problem.
That's what he wants.
And
he's not the best player of a team to win.
No, he can't be. And I think it kind of showed when he was in Minnesota. He's not that guy that can lead a team and to get guys like behind him on his back and be like, yeah, like I'm going to take you to the promised land. He's not that kind of guy. So for me, I think that hurts his value.
To me, he's like a Kyrie. He needs to be a 1A, 1B guy on a team.
I agree.
Do you have any possible destinations that he could fit in?
I really, really hope that the Knicks don't sign him. But I have a feeling like they're going to strike out with KD and then they're going to offer him a max.
The Lakers are also a possible landing spot.
Which is good for the Lakers because, with LeBron, you need somebody that can space the floor, and Jimmy Butler accomplishes that while also playing good defense.
Let me ask you guys a question. Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's a better shooting guard? Jimmy Butler or Klay Thompson?
Come on, bro.
Don't
disrespect Klay like that.
I'll take Klay all day.
I'll take Klay.
Is it close or is it?
No, I think Klay.
No. I think it's close.
Yeah, I don't think it's very far away.
I think it's
close.
definitely
because they're both great two-way players.
Yeah.
I think where Jimmy Butler has the edge is that he can create his shot a little bit better.
Jimmy's a better scorer.
But Klay's, there's certain intangibles that Klay has, and I think it's being able to be a guy that fits well into a team. So
I want to see Klay Thompson out of Golden State and see how he performs.
I do too.
That's why right now my answer is Jimmy Butler. Because we've seen Jimmy Butler be able to put up good numbers in 3 different locations and play defense at a high level. Where Klay, I'm not saying he's a system player because I like Klay Thompson and I'm a big fan. But I do want to see how he plays with another group of guys.
Well, his on-ball defense is on-ball defense regardless of where you go.
He's good.
So, the defense is not going to go anywhere. So, the worst case scenario, he goes someplace else and he just becomes a 3-and-D guy.
Yeah.
Like a Trevor Ariza. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I don't think the floor is like really that low for him going someplace else, but I do see what you're saying. Like, yeah, it's tough. He's not known to be a guy that can create a shot. So like,
that's the thing.
He scored 60 points on 9 dribbles. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's more of a testament of how great his shot is, though.
That's a great shot, phenomenal. No, but to your point of creating your shot, that's not creating anything.
That's a good rotation coming from the Warriors to be able to get him those shots.
Yes,
exactly.
It's true. Yes,
and I do want to see him go to another team and maybe try to create those shots.
Go anywhere.
Yeah.
I think we could get a better valuation on Klay Thompson when he.
Well, Jimmy can obviously create those shots
when he goes to LA. We'll get a better valuation.
Goes to LA. So other than New York and LA, where do you think Jimmy goes? Or has the potential of going?
I think the third option is he might just stay in Philly.
Is Miami an option?
Miami's always an option to everyone.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think there's more of a likelihood that he stays in Philly.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, if I were to lean anywhere, I feel like I would lean them re-signing Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm. They're not far away from being a championship team. If Ben Simmons learns to have like a semi-decent jump shot and to get his numbers consistently and be like a threat to other top tier players in the league, that's a good team.
So let me tell you this: if LeBron James would have decided to go to Philly instead of LA, I think they're favorites to win the championship.
Well, of course, he's at that point. Yeah. Are you saying with Philly still has Jimmy Butler?
No, because they wouldn't go after Jimmy with LeBron.
So you're saying if it's instead of Jimmy, it's LeBron.
LeBron, Ben, Joel, and JJ.
Oh, that team's winning the championship.
How do you see Joel's like attitude with LeBron? Do you think he would be a good fit?
Oh, mentorship. Yeah. Honestly. They had a good connection off the court.
Joel respects good players.
Well, sorry, the mentorship would be with Ben Simmons, but
yes,
Embiid and him still have a good connection.
How would you think Ben Simmons would play in that kind of system when the play styles are very reminiscent of early LeBron?
I've thought about this, and what I think is the first couple years, LeBron would definitely be LeBron, but as he get older, it would switch the transition. Ben Simmons would become not LeBron, but that role LeBron plays, and after learning, the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, kind of learning after
Okay.
That great guy.
Yeah.
And Bron fading in.
He'll start running the point forward instead of Bron.
And I think it would have been perfect for LeBron. Win a couple championships as a guy, and then as you get older, start to fade. These young guys become great and still be on that team and win a little bit more.
So picturing LeBron in a different uniform and playing what ifs. It's a big news story is out that.
Yeah, Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss thinking about trading LeBron James.
Which I think is absolutely preposterous.
You don't let somebody like that go.
No. And I'm going to say, I've said this like 3 or 4 times on this very podcast. Everyone's talking about LeBron like he's a bum now and like devaluing what he did. This man went 27, 8, and 8 this season. He played very well. He was hurt a little bit, but I don't understand why everyone's not giving him the credit that he deserves. LeBron is still LeBron.
Yeah, and how does that affect the Lakers if you get rid of somebody like LeBron James? Right? Does it affect their ticket sales? Because they are still the Lakers.
Well, yeah, they're still playing in the Staples Center.
I mean,
so
it does affect it a little bit because you've seen a tremendous rise in ticket sales when he came.
I think it hurts them more in merch.
But it depends on what you get back. I think if you're trading a player like LeBron, you're going to get the kitchen sink for him.
Okay, so
but do you think it's smarter for them to get players or to get picks? Because at that point they need to go into full rebuild.
But I feel like you get players.
But LeBron doesn't want picks at this point.
He's saying as ownership.
Oh
yeah.
What's good with you, Nando?
Yeah, what's wrong with you? No, I'm saying if I'm
Nando's right. If LeBron's part of that ownership.
If I'm Rob Pelinka and I'm trying to trade him and put him on the market, I think for me, I at that point have to start shopping him for a first round pick.
What route do you go?
I shop him for another star. Like, let's for example,
but that does nothing for you, Doug.
Well, you go for somebody younger, like i.e. if you try to trade him for the 76ers. What do you want back?
You would have to get Ben Simmons in return.
Yeah, you get Ben Simmons, Jimmy, like Tobias.
But having Ben Simmons and Lonzo Ball on the same team doesn't help you either.
Well, I'm just saying that's an example.
You have to go picks.
I think you have to.
There's no way I would go picks. I would go like a star, high caliber player that's young.
So you get a young star. Are you any better?
No,
because LeBron's the best player in the league. How are you better by substituting him?
I say they go. I would go picks and then try to pick up a guy like KD in free agency.
I disagree. I would go player. I would go.
Name me a player that you substitute with LeBron.
Bradley Beal, like something like that.
Bradley Beal.
You're gonna trade LeBron for Bradley Beal?
No, I'm not talking about straight up. I'm talking about like a centerpiece
like a compensation
around.
package.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not talking about straight up Bradley Beal.
That's still disrespectful.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
More of an argument with AD, but
AD is different because he's like a once in a generation type talent. Like you
need to give me a lot of picks.
You got to get picks in for LeBron if you're trading LeBron.
What you're saying right now is straight blasphemy, and I know you're biased against LeBron.
But like, how's that biasness? There's no biasness.
No, because I know you don't like him, so you want to try to devalue what. Like,
no, I'm not
devaluing
him. I'm just saying that if I was ownership, I would trade for a star and then other pieces instead of picks.
So you're looking to win now?
No, I'm saying I want a centerpiece that I could build around.
Eli has a great point. The Lakers aren't set up to win now. That's the problem.
And that's why you need picks.
Yes.
You're rebuilding if you get rid of LeBron.
Because they never rebuilt properly in the first place.
If you trade LeBron for picks, those picks are going to get devalued because LeBron's going to automatically make them a playoff contender.
But
so those are going to be bad picks regardless.
How? What if one of those picks are Zion Williamson? Another one of those picks?
You're not going to get a top tier pick when you have LeBron playing for that team.
What are you talking about? You're saying like their record's going to be indicative.
They're going to be so much better that their record is automatically not going to give you a top 5 pick potential.
You're right, but maybe you get a couple first rounders. So you know what I mean? And maybe you get 3 straight years. Oh, that maybe might too much, but let's say 2 straight years of first round picks. I'll take an extra 2 like number 18 picks if you send them to a bad team. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Maybe there's a third team that gets involved to make that sound better, right? Like a 3-team trade, or you get picked from that other team, or
it would have to be. But that's besides the point. The Lakers aren't in a position to take on another star, and it's not like it's going to improve them any. It's not.
Yeah, LeBron's been disrespected so much this NBA playoffs.
I know, it's
and he's
ridiculous.
Not even in it. He's not even playing. He's chilling, bro. He's watching Bronny dribble. And shoot some hoops, and he's getting disrespected.
Man, for everyone out there that's talking poorly about LeBron, saying that they should trade him, that he's not good, whatever, that he's washed up, you need to put some respect on that man's name because he is still the GOAT, and he will still continue to be the GOAT for a couple more seasons. That's just what it is.
I agree.
They're the haters. Huh?
And that means you, Doug. Because I know you're a hater.
The big I never
You a LeBron hater.
I never doubt LeBron's game. Where I doubt LeBron is in the locker room and team chemistry. That's where I doubt.
Doug, if this mic wasn't in my face, I'll slap you right now.
Yeah, bro. I feel like punching you in the throat after that.
All right. You guys are default LeBron apologists.
All right, that's enough NBA talk because I can't take this anymore.
Yeah, this guy's an idiot.
All right, I'm just spitting out facts, but it's cool. So since we got our boy Nando here today,
Yeah, Nando in the studio
Wow,
once again.
we got Nando in the studio. That's crazy.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
I want to play a little game with him
All right.
because Nando's notorious for not making.
You see, I always look at all
Definitive
the
decisions?
perspectives. That's what it is.
No,
I look
man.
at all the perspectives.
This
and I
guy-
make a calculated decision.
Instead of actually ever if you want Nando to pick a side, he won't ever do it. He's gonna be he's gonna play. He literally plays the fence on everything he does.
Well, that's why he's nicknamed the Fence, aka Basura. Interchangeable.
The fans don't agree with this. I'm not saying.
He's just so indecisive, and when he does say something, it's like
he
what?
covers all aspects so that he's never wrong.
Quick story: once we were heading to Tampa. We're in Orlando.
Oh my god.
We have the GPS
Really?
up. Doug is driving. Nando's the co-pilot. Worst decision, right? That's where we effed up. Nando's the co-pilot. So Doug is asking for directions, like, which way do I go? Because the road veers left and right, so it splits. Nando tells Doug, yeah, just go west. And we all look at Nando dumbfounded. Like, what do you mean go west, bro?
And then on the
right.
sign, both of them were like I-4 West, and then I think it was like 192 West or something
Yeah,
like
they
that.
both
Something
said
like that.
west. It was just
Yeah. So I'm sitting there shook.
like Doug is about to go straight into a ramp.
That wasn't West.
Yo, that's literally the epitome of you as a person. And your
This boy
opinions
wanted me
on-
to take out a compass
Relax.
and see which way
I
I
just
needed
wanted
to
to
go.
see where the sun was setting. And then go that way.
This man's gonna have a sundial in the car. He's just gonna be looking at where the sun is positioned during the day.
All right. What's this game?
So with that said,
All right,
explain
so
your game.
this game is going to be called On the Fence, named after Nando himself. And I'm going to give him pretty much two different options.
Okay.
Players, teams, etc., where he has to choose either this one or this one. We need definitive answers. There's no way
It's
he can be in
rapid
the
fire.
middle.
Okay. It's like
No
a
thinking.
It's a scenario, or just like you're gonna say?
No,
that
no.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
so the first one here, Ronaldo or Messi?
Messi.
Arsenal, Barcelona.
Barcelona.
Peru.
Peru.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
All right.
That's
That's
Peru's
my
national team.
national.
Yeah,
That's
that- yeah.
That's
Oh yeah, that's his
I
where he's
probably
from.
would get jumped by all the Peruvians if I said Barcelona.
All right. Xbox or PlayStation now?
Oh, Xbox.
All right. Tottenham or Liverpool?
Ugh. Tottenham. Can't
John-
stand Liverpool.
Is that a prediction?
I want Tottenham to win.
All right. Jon Snow or Daenerys Targaryen?
It's all about. Well, you mean John Targaryen?
Yo, that's a spoiler.
Yeah, bro.
Yo, chill.
Wow,
the people, but we're like a couple episodes in already. The people
Yo,
that
what
are
if
watching,
people haven't seen
then they better
the
catch
past
up.
two
All right,
seasons,
that's-
bro?
Don't worry, we'll put a spoiler alert.
Yeah,
on
Man,
the
I'm gonna
episode.
have to mark
you
this
know what it
video.
was? This is clickbait. This is clickbait right here.
Dear God, I'm gonna have to put spoiler warning on the title. We're gonna have a whole bunch of Game of Thrones fans pissed off.
Jon Snow.
Oh, Jon Snow. All right, he's a Snow
Yeah.
fan. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown.
Oh, wow. How could you? All right.
Who you going with?
Le'Veon. I feel like he was a little classier.
All right, Le'Veon. All right, then. How about
He
Antonio?
was classier. He sat out a whole season.
But so what he did to Juju, I don't know. I don't go
Oh,
with that.
all right. AB,
It was more financial at that aspect.
Antonio Brown or Julio Jones?
Ooh,
Antonio
AB or
Brown and
Julio.
Julio Jones
Yeah,
You
as a
got-
better receiver, or just
better receiver.
better receiver.
Yeah.
Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that's a hot take.
Tony Toe Tap.
Ooh, wow.
So this one we're going for. Which one do you think is more basura?
All
right. Big Ben or Eli Manning?
Eli Manning.
Watch him out.
All right, Nando.
I think Eli Manning had a better career than Big Ben.
He did for sure.
I think so.
More.
Also, without oh, never mind. I'm not gonna say that on the podcast.
We'll talk about that on
All right.
a future podcast.
I was about to say some reckless shit.
All right. DC or Marvel Comics?
Ooh, I like Marvel more.
Yeah. Right, if you said something else, I would have punched you.
Hey, we got those two people out there. Sergio Aguero or Harry Kane?
Ooh, we had this conversation the other day.
Yeah, we did. Better striker.
I'm gonna switch up. Harry Kane.
Did you
what was
on the mic?
No, that was my mouth. That was my mouth, guys. Relax.
What was that?
I went with Harry Kane.
Harry Kane.
Yeah.
All right, Harry Kane. Wow.
Yeah, that's what happens when we force him to make a decision. His body doesn't know how to control itself.
Just shuts down.
All
right. Pele or Maradona?
Ooh, Pele.
Hey, my boy Pele. All right. Batman or Superman?
Superman.
Batman's
not even a real superhero.
All right.
Ooh, wait, hold up. Hold up.
Easy.
Hold up.
He's not super. He's just a regular rich guy who has some skills in fighting.
No, his intellect and his detective skills is what makes him super.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Is Iron Man a superhero?
Ooh,
he got him.
No,
he got him. He's not. His suit makes him a superhero.
No,
but he's not. Okay, he's not a superhero.
Wow.
He's a hero.
Okay.
He's a hero.
I just want to get the clarification,
Yeah.
but okay.
Bro,
Not that I agree, but
I wish people could see my face right now because I'm just.
He shook.
So what makes Batman super?
I just told you.
So Nikola Tesla, his intelligence is by far, is he a superhuman?
Yes.
Yeah. For the sake of the argument, yes.
No, exactly.
we need a definition on super for this argument.
Speaking of Tesla or Edison?
Ooh, Tesla.
Oh, all
Hold
right.
on, Doug.
Edison took a lot of credit for things he didn't do.
Hey, all right.
That transition, when were we ever talking about Tesla?
He brought it up.
I just brought it up.
You just brought
a
up
second
Tesla.
ago.
Oh, okay.
Come on, pay attention.
Sorry, my
man.
bad.
What's good with you?
I'm gonna go back in the corner.
All right. Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, I think this is an easy one.
Drew.
Yeah.
Hey, Drew.
You gotta go Drew Brees.
Drew.
All right. Where do you stand on this one, Nando? Kylie Jenner or Black China?
I gotta go Kylie.
Hey, Kylie. All right.
I appreciate that last one.
We got another battle here. Meek Mill or Drake?
Oh, I'm a Drizzy fan.
Oh, Drizzy?
Shout out, Nando. You just earned.
I feel like I'm riding the 6 too much this podcast.
You already know.
episode.
Hey, all
Come on,
right.
we out here. Done though.
Going back to these are two players you love, bro.
Okay.
Dwayne Wade or Allen Iverson?
Ooh, Allen Iverson is an amazing player, but I feel like I got too much love for D Wade. So D Wade.
All right. A couple more. We got
So hold on, I just want to pause because he almost played the fence just now. He almost did it. He caught himself.
I'm just giving Allen Iverson some credit because he's a phenomenal player.
All right. Best NFL kicker: Adam Vinatieri or Kareem Hunt?
Oh, my God. That's disrespectful. Don't.
I think on that end we gotta end
Don't.
that
Yeah, end the game. No more.
All right. We got meta world peace or actual world peace?
Meta world peace.
All right. Biggie, Tupac.
Oh, Biggie.
All right. And
Yes,
then
sir.
East Coast.
last
Yeah,
one.
East Coast all the way.
Last one. Eli or Danny?
Ooh, that's just take your worst poison, I guess.
Oh my
nah,
God,
I'm
that's
messing
mad
around. I'm messing
disrespectful.
around. I love you guys. Relax.
Dirty.
That's tough. That's real.
Who has
tough.
the hotter takes?
The hotter takes?
Nah,
It depends on the episode, to be honest. It really does. I feel like just because I've known Eli longer.
That's fair. I'll give you
I
that.
gotta go, my boy.
All right.
I'll give you that.
My boy.
You know,
Well, that's on the fence with Nando. We finally got some definitive answers out of him.
Nando's gonna start breaking out in hives and shit. We're gonna have to take him to the hospital because his body's just not used to actually giving real answers.
I need to be excused for a second.
All right, let's carry on. Guys.
So hold on, real quick. You said for the very first question, you said Messi or Messi or Ronaldo, and you said Messi. Mind you, last week this man said Ronaldo.
He did.
I said Ronaldo's a better player.
Once again, you're trying to play the fence with me. I'm not letting you get off the hook.
He asked me for my personal affiliation, who I ride with more with.
I'm giving you a
And
pass this time.
I've ridden with Messi my entire life. I'm not saying he's a better player than Ronaldo.
So speaking of Messi, what the hell happened to Barca?
Oh,
That's what I want to know.
I think we need to move on from this.
Only reason why I showed up to today's podcast was to get that answer out of Fernando. What happened to Barcelona?
I was watching the game and I wasn't
I think
watching.
Barca was watching the game too.
To be honest, I was at work, so by the time that I actually looked at the score was when this guy was like, "Nando, don't even come down here if you're gonna if Barcelona loses." And I was like, "What is he talking about?" I look at the score, bro. We're down 3-0. I was like, "No, there's no possible way, bro." There was just such a collapse, bro. The defense played like garbage. I don't know why Umtiti still hasn't been playing. You know what I mean?
But that's what I said a couple podcasts ago when we were predicting who was going to win, Liverpool or Barcelona. we said Barcelona's defense has not been the same. And Liverpool's counterattack, even though they did not have Mohamed Salah or Firmino, two of their three best players, which is insane.
Yeah, and that I don't even know where to begin with this. That's the thing. So like, I agree that was our one like Achilles ankle or Achilles heel is that the defense could like mess up around the offense that Liverpool has. But I mean, when you have guys like Origi scoring and like
Wijnaldum.
I don't know what to say.
Okay,
like,
I'll tell you guys since Fernando doesn't know. Lionel Messi is not a big game player, and he's not a leader, and that is why Barcelona lost 4-0 to Liverpool.
So let me ask you something then. Is this considered one of the biggest collapse in soccer? Like, and at least in the past couple of years?
Yeah, especially because we're doing it back-to-back years. This happened with Roma last year.
Barcelona going back to back.
So like, this Barcelona was I think had the most pressure out of all the teams in the Champions League this year to make a name for themselves and at least get. I mean, we got past the third or what is it, the third round? Quarterfinals.
Fernando.
So
he's so shook right now that they lost. He doesn't even know like what to say.
I
think Valverde's job is in question. I think there's going to definitely be some mixes. I don't know if Coutinho stays. I think Rakitic is probably gone because they're trying to make room for Frankie de Jong.
That was going to be my next question for you. Like, where do they go from here? What do they do to avoid that kind of collapse?
First of all, I mean, I think we absolutely need to pick up Mathis de Ligt from Ajax now because we need to shape up that defense. We need to get Piqué. I love Piqué, but he's getting older.
He's old.
He's not fast enough to keep up with
it.
Yeah, he's not fast enough to keep up with the players in the league. This year's and
all I'm gonna say, Shakira is leaving his ass. All right,
he locked her up already. No,
yeah,
she's gone.
I don't want Umtiti to leave. I hope he doesn't leave, even though Lenglet is not a bad option. And I think we need to finally pick a true right back because even though I like Sergio Roberto,
he's not a right back.
He's not a true right back. He's a utility guy. He can put him in the midfield. He can put him on the right wing, but he's not a true right back, and that's what we need. We need a true
going into a game where you're like, okay, we have a 3-0 lead, let's just play defense. Mm-hmm. Why would you not put the better right back, the better defensive right back in Semedo?
But I think that to be honest, the way that Valverde plays, Barcelona, they're not used to playing, parking the bus. That's not it.
Their defense is keeping possession.
Exactly.
But Liverpool's a team who could keep possession with them. So it didn't work out to their favor. But that's crazy. The other Champions League game, Ajax and Tottenham, finished even crazier in my eyes.
Yeah, that was a good game.
So, just to let everybody know, Ajax won the first leg 1-0. And then in the second game, they were up at halftime 2-0. So 3-0 on aggregate. And the Spurs, Tottenham Hotspurs, scored 3 goals and a half to tie the aggregate and win on away goals. And it was in heroic fashions. Lucas Moura scored a hat-trick in the second half of the second leg to send Tottenham to the...
And the last goal he scored was like in the 96th minute or something.
90 plus 6 minutes.
Yeah. So, do you think that's just Tottenham being the better team? Or do you think that's Ajax just being inexperienced and younger?
Inexperienced Ajax.
And not being able to close out the game?
Has to be. Because Ajax is the better team.
I mean, score says otherwise now.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I think even if you look at the 2 legs or the leg in general over
they
the 2
were better
games,
for 3 halves of the 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Ajax has been a better team like over the legs. Or, when you look at Tottenham, when you look at Juventus, when you look at Madrid, they've been a better team in those legs.
Yep.
But they just really broke down this last.
They pulled a Golden State by giving up that Golden State gave up that 31-point lead.
Yeah, it sucks. I really wanted Ajax to win, and they were my prediction. And now I have to watch 2 bums play in the Champions League.
And it sucks too because it's kind of like Monaco, like we mentioned a couple podcasts ago. These players are probably not going to stay together anymore.
Oh, that whole team's going to dismantle. They're all getting big contracts for bigger clubs now.
So we'll go around. What are your guys' picks for Tottenham, Liverpool?
Oh, I want Tottenham to win. Tottenham wins. I think they win.
Are you just saying that just because Liverpool just beat Barca? Or do you actually think that they're the better team?
I think Salah's coming back, and then Firmino's playing the last game, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough. But Harry Kane comes back for Tottenham as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ooh, okay. I'm still going to go with Tottenham. I don't think Liverpool can come back and do it. I'm going to go with Tottenham 2-1.
Being an Arsenal fan, I hate Tottenham with a passion. They also play in London. Probably our biggest rivalry. But I hate Liverpool more than anybody in this world outside of Fernando and Barcelona.
Okay. So you're going Tottenham?
I'm going Tottenham, and it's mostly because of I can't even say momentum because Liverpool has so much momentum as well. I'm just winging it, and I'm going to say Tottenham 2-1, and Harry Kane scores a game-winning goal.
Going into this, I was going to say Tottenham, but you said Tottenham, and I can't find myself agreeing with you. So I'm going to say Liverpool.
I just want to throw out there, not 10 minutes ago, I just picked this guy over Dan, and he says he hated me. So that's kind of dirty.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
It's okay. You can switch your answer right now, man.
There he goes, playing the fence.
Just bouncing back and forth. Doug, who you got in the Champions League?
So my brain says Liverpool, but my heart says Tottenham. I like rooting for the underdog, so I'm going to say Tottenham 3-2.
Okay.
Is Tottenham the underdog?
That's what I was just about to ask.
I don't even know.
I think Tottenham's the underdog.
I don't necessarily think that this matchup has a definitive underdog.
But Liverpool was there last year, so maybe because of that, maybe. But like, I don't know if you can really say they're the underdog.
Yeah, it's so tough to say that. But you guys want to know the real irony? Lucas Moura, the hero in all this, the one who scored the hat trick to send them to the finals, he was shipped by PSG to clear up space for Neymar because they're like, all right, well, Lucas Moura's not cutting it and we want to win Champions League. We're going to get rid of him and get Neymar. And 3 years later, he's the reason why Tottenham is in the Champions League final and PSG has not seen a semifinal with Neymar.
Well, I think Neymar is very similar to Messi. I don't think he's a winning player like that. I don't think he's a big game
Skills
player.
and tricks, great talent, but I mean, Messi's a winner because he has wins underneath his belt, but he's not I don't think he could be the guy, all right? Because he was never the captain at all during those Barcelona winning championships. It was Iniesta and Xavi who were the captains of those teams. Messi as a captain has not won the Champions League yet. But yeah, that's kind of ironic. So kudos to Lucas.
Yeah,
he had a great half.
So staying in the world of soccer, Paul Pogba on the move. Right, leaving Man U. Where do you guys think is his most likely landing destination?
Where everybody else wants to play.
Real?
Even though that Real doesn't want to pay him?
Yeah, that's tough. But if you want to live out your dreams, I mean, he's been paid enough. Come on, guys.
Jeez.
I think he's at the point where he wants to win now. And if you want to win, come to Real Madrid.
I don't think you can be paid enough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
As a player's perspective, I don't think you can ever be like, no, I don't want it.
It's easy for us to sit there and say that, right? But
you got to get it while you can.
Absolutely. I agree. But soccer money is stupid. Come on. We're talking about instead of 100 mil, 86 mil. To me, I'm like...
He can do a lot with that 14 million.
Yeah, he could give one of them to me.
No, you know, his agent, Mino Raiola, he's actually been known to... He has a lot of other superstars, so he wants to have the commission, too. He's going to want to be able to get the most money out of Pogba, or Pogba as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So that may be kind of causing some obstruction with Real Madrid, too. But I think I'm a very big Pogba fan. You know,
I love Pogba, too.
He's a phenomenal player. Even though I hate Real Madrid, I just want to see him there as a Barca fan. But for his career, it'd be good for him to go.
So, other than Real, where do you think, let's say if that doesn't shape up for him, where else do you think would be potential destinations?
Him going back to Italy and playing with Juventus.
I was just about to say that right now, yeah.
And playing with the best player in the world. I think he would do amazing being a center midfield for Juve.
That would be a deadly
Especially
duo.
because he's been rumored to be heading out. So, you know, that could open up a little bit of space in there as well.
So what do you think? How much do you think Pogba ends up getting paid? What would you value him at?
He's definitely worth 100 mil, but
do you think he gets that?
Depending where he goes, right? Because every team has a different pocketbook and how much they're willing to pay. If he goes to a big team like Real Madrid, who even though said they're willingly not going to pay him that 100 mil, maybe after a couple contract talks he can get it. Besides that, maybe even Barcelona as a surprise because they're looking to replace Rakitic. They're center midfield.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They have money.
Yeah, and he was being
Bayern Munich, they have money. Even though I don't think is Germany like an attractive place to play?
If you're German, because that's most of the German players play there.
Yeah, I don't want to play in Germany.
But I mean,
I don't know. I've heard Germany's beautiful.
I think the location's nice. I just don't think teams are as marketable unless you're playing.
They're not.
Like
but the
Dortmund
fans are.
For Dortmund.
The fans are just as passionate, though.
Yeah, but they can be kind of like dirty.
Oh, there goes our German fan base. So we talk a lot about soccer on this podcast, right? Obviously, two of us here are Americans. I was about to say we're all American, but all four of us are living in the States, right? Soccer is not as big here as it is in other countries. Why do you guys think that is? And do you think the skill gap between the players is something that can be like rectified? Like the skill gap between American players and like the European players.
It's so crazy, right? To think that we're in 2019 and the U.S. has still not caught up to the rest of the world. And yes, I know that maybe in Brazil, England, they live, breathe, sleep soccer, right? We're in the U.S., we don't do that. Mm-hmm. But when you think of the money and the finances that the U.S. is able to put behind soccer, they definitely have, the ability to do that. How come these players aren't doing that, or these? I don't know.
I think what it comes down to is we have so many other sports in America that it takes away from our top tier athletes, and
yes,
they're not gravitating towards soccer.
You're getting the freaks of nature going to play football and basketball.
Yeah. Like, wow. Imagine LeBron on the pitch.
Yeah.
Well, no. Like, a good example is, like, Odell Beckham Jr., right?
Yeah.
Played soccer his whole life, solid soccer player, but he went with football, right? That's the more popular sport here, and that's what's happening with a lot of the American talent. They're gravitating to more.
We also see sports. That in our national team, we have a lot of people who have, like, diverse backgrounds from different countries.
But why aren't we able to develop the training camps and whatnot to get these players to that skill level? Well, we have the money and the finances. Why don't we put it behind soccer? It's an embarrassment that the U.S. soccer team didn't even make the World Cup.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that they don't prioritize soccer as much as they do football, or as much as they do, in some aspects, baseball.
So I personally think that media has to play a big part in that too, because you go and you turn on TV, you turn on ESPN, and you're gonna see the finals. You're going to see the Super Bowl, right? You're going to see all that very easily. But when it comes to, like, Champions League.
Or Premier
League. Right? It's on, or Premier League. Or, like, a regular Premier League game.
You got to search for it.
You have to go find that.
ESPN Deportes.
Yeah, but it hasn't been until recently that we're getting it, like, on TNT now, like the Champions League games and, like, the Premier League games on Fox Sports.
Which is great. And, it's pretty cool. Bleacher Report has their own little soccer program, and you see Steve Nash, one of the analysts, which is cool to see,
Yeah.
Who was crying after that Tottenham game.
Yeah, you saw him crying, dude. He's a huge Tottenham fan. Yeah. I don't know why.
I think it will be a long time before the U.S. closes the skill gap.
But don't you feel like living here in the U.S., we do feel a rise in soccer as of the last 2 to 3 years?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that...
I don't know, man.
Just with the I think the MLS is getting bigger. You're seeing stars come from Europe playing in the MLS now.
But the problem is you're not getting top-tier stars. You're getting stars that are at the end of their career that are still trying to hold on to what they have.
They don't have the money to pay those top-tier stars.
Of course. But you take a casual like soccer fan, like somebody that doesn't really follow soccer, but he goes just to go watch like his local team play, right? Say you're living in Los Angeles and you're just gonna go catch a Galaxy game, right? You're gonna see Ibra, but you're not really seeing like Ibra. You know what I mean?
But
that's not the real Zlatan. Like, so you can't really become as passionate because he's not performing the way he used to. You know what I mean?
I agree, but to the people who don't watch soccer like that might be enough for you to go watch another Galaxy game and then maybe be like, hey, maybe I want to start following the Galaxy and following the MLS, and then maybe, that
so as
goes up and up and up.
As like, I'm not a big soccer guy, right? Like, I keep up like with it kind of like when it comes to like Champions League and stuff like that, but all my life I'd only gone to basketball and baseball games and all that. And the first time I actually went to an Orlando City game, I will tell you that the environment of a soccer game is vastly different. And it's
more passionate.
It's a lot more passionate, right? And my whole thing growing up with soccer was like, oh man, it's like a slower game. It's hard to like pay attention to it. Like it's hard to capture like your attention span. But you go there and it's like a party. It's amazing. And I think if more people were able to get to MLS games, they should, because that like kind of spurs people to like be like, oh man, soccer's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I do think the sport's grown in the United States, and a sport that might be on the down end is the NHL, and it sounds crazy. Even the NFL, their viewership has gone down. Significantly.
Yeah.
Do you guys see? Well, not for the NFL, but maybe the NHL. Do you see the MLS passing the NHL and being a fourth major sport.
I think, I don't think the U.S. is ever going to have like 5 major sports. I think that's just too much for that, like an average
absolutely.
like adult to like keep up with. But I think the MLS ends up overtaking the NHL.
I think eventually, yes.
Yeah. But I feel like the NHL has just been so... It's almost like baseball, where it's just been around for so long, and it's like a staple.
Like cemented into...
Yeah.
I also want to point out, I think maybe that's a problem, and maybe we're biased because we're living in the state of Florida where hockey's not a big thing.
Even though we live
up
next
north,
to the Tampa
it's a
Bay
lot.
Lightning, who are a great hockey team.
Yeah, but you're talking about like maybe people that are in, Minnesota, like North Dakota, right? Like those cities that are...
They're going to be like, there's no way.
They're going to... Yeah, of course. They're going to be like, no, that's crazy because that's what they do so much. And remember, I think the NHL does fall out eventually because the rest of the United States doesn't really like play it like that. Everyone else is playing basketball, baseball, and football. But I think it's going to take longer just because you have those core states like holding onto it still.
With bigger populations like New York. The Rangers and Islanders are still really big in New York.
Yeah, huge.
And it's hard to tell a New Yorker, like, hey, come watch the Red Bulls instead of the Rangers in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Well, I think New York's a bad example just because they have so much there. But if you like, I don't know, Minnesota has a MLS team, don't they?
I think the Timbers, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, that's Portland.
Oh,
Yes, Portland.
Portland.
He's just trying to think of the Timberwolves. No, Minnesota doesn't. I don't think they have an MLS team.
You could even use Portland as an example, though.
Portland, yeah.
Right? They're bordering Canada, right? Well,
Oregon, yeah.
Yeah, Oregon's bordering Canada. Wow, I just had to have like a quick, I had to pull up the pictures.
Actually, no, it's not. It's Washington, and then Oregon's below.
Jesus Christ.
Minnesota does have a team. Minnesota United FC.
I knew they had a team.
They're a new team.
Yeah, they're a newer team.
They're a new team.
Okay, so I'll try to edit that out because that was bad.
They're a new team.
These guys know nothing.
Damn, I feel ashamed of myself that I didn't know like the geography of the United States just now. No, I mean so it's hard to tell people in Minnesota, right? New York's a bad example because they have so much. People in Minnesota, right? They have the Vikings. They have
Timberwolves.
They have the Wild.
Yeah, they have the Wild. They have their NHL team. It's hard to get them to be like, yo, go check out that soccer team, because that fandom is ingrained in the one or two teams that they already have. So it's hard to pull off of that because they have a monopoly over that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know if I would necessarily say I would love to see the MLS become a fourth major sport because I'm actually a big hockey fan as well. But I could definitely see it happening in maybe 15 to 20 years. Not anytime soon.
I think both sports, the NHL and the MLS, have marketing issues. I think they don't do a good enough job of...
Absolutely. I think the NHL still use Reebok uniforms.
I personally would like to see the MLS overtake that just because I'm a huge soccer fan. And I like hockey too, but I don't keep up with it as much. I like soccer a lot more. But I think a huge proponent, a huge factor to this is developing those camps, developing those players.
Exactly.
Because I feel like every 4 years, we get a huge opportunity for the entire country
and
to
we
watch
fall short.
And we fall short because we don't qualify.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the World Cup, I'm talking about.
And the United States internationally is known for being great and dominant in a lot of things. Like when you go to the Olympics, the U.S. are always up there in medal count.
Yeah.
And then for them not to be as dominant as a country in soccer, I think a lot of people are like, well, why even watch?
So, Eli, being from Toronto, right, Canada, where
hockey is
everything, right? So I don't think the U.S. could ever get back to that point, because at one point, U.S. hockey was
Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, that era.
in like the 90s, like U.S.
amazing.
hockey was huge.
Yeah.
I don't think we can ever rival the way it is like in Canada and like Toronto.
Yeah.
But you being present for that and like having, being raised in that culture, do you think the U.S. has the opportunity to maybe get back to the popularity that the NHL had, maybe like in the 90s? Do you think that's a possibility, or do you think it's just it's all downhill?
I don't think it's gone. I think there is opportunities with a lot of rising stars in the NHL. Maybe more teams, like we're seeing a lot more expansion teams in the NHL, so branching out to more cities.
Las Vegas.
Exactly, like the Vegas Knights, who recently went to the Stanley Cup. So
Which
I
was
think
awesome.
that was great for
That
the
was
NHL.
Yeah, that was phenomenal for the
That was
NHL.
awesome for them. and then doing a better job with their All-Star game. Like, even in Canada, it's like they have 2 games. They break it up into 4 teams. I think they do a horrible job with that. But if they can market that a lot better and show some of the skill in hockey.
And the All-Star game and the Pro Bowl, like all the skills challenges and all that, that's the time to go get those fans that aren't like big like viewers, and you catch their eye with that, and then you bring them in that way.
And then I'll tell you the one major thing too that really affects hockey. The biggest thing for hockey is normally the Winter Olympics, right? Mm-hmm. Where you watch the national teams play, and it's always a big rivalry between the U.S., Russia, Canada, Sweden, and you have eras like the Miracle Team where the U.S. took down Russia. That's when hockey was huge in the United States.
Yep.
But now, over the last 8 years, NHL players aren't allowed to play on those Olympic teams anymore. So that devalues the Winter Olympics, and probably the biggest stage for hockey for a lot of Americans. That's when they would normally watch it, to watch Team USA play, because they are a good team. But now that you don't have those premier guys in the Olympics, I think it really takes a toll on the viewership of hockey.
So the last like Winter Olympics that I remember watching for hockey, I think was, the year that TJ Oshie scored the game-winning goal to win the Gold Cup game.
Yeah,
which was what, maybe like 8 years ago.
Yeah,
so that's like
almost 10 years. And I think there was one more Winter Olympics where the NHL players were allowed to play, and then after that they haven't been playing.
Yeah. So even casual fans, they're not gonna tune in for that kind of stuff.
You're not gonna watch amateurs play, especially if you're not a big hockey fan.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Is that just for? I don't know if you know, but is that just for the U.S. or like the Russian NHL players can't play in Russia?
No. So it's just that NHL player. So the Russian league, their professional players can play for their respective nations or whatever. But in the NHL, we're the best of the best players.
Which sucks for the Russian players that are playing in the NHL.
That's what I was asking. Like, they're not allowed to play in their Russian national team.
No,
that sucks.
Because the franchises don't let them go play. Because a lot of times the Winter Olympics happen during the middle of the NHL season.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's unfortunate. Imagine watching the World Baseball Classic for and without like any of the players in the MLB. You know how? Yeah,
it would suck.
It would be terrible.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch probably.
So speaking of smaller sports and stuff that we don't typically talk about, let's touch on the Kentucky Derby a little bit, right? Big controversy there. Well, I would say I guess 2 kind of controversies. The first one is a fun one I want to talk about. Jacoby Brissett, Tom Brady, Jimmy G, all hanging out at the Kentucky Derby.
That's crazy.
So for those of you that don't know, they were all Patriots at one point, right? Jacoby and Jimmy G were Tom Brady's backups, and they both got traded.
And depth chart. QB.
Phenomenal.
Pretty good. Yeah.
And the report was that, Brady felt threatened by both of those guys.
Yeah, and
specifically Jimmy G.
Yeah, and they had fallouts, and the guys always competed and didn't like each other. But 3 years later, here they are.
They're hanging out. So my question is, do you think that one news report was overblown? Do you think there was any beef at all?
I think it's not really beef, but more like this guy has your job that you want. Like, so it's going to be competitive in that locker room.
It's competitive, but I think the media just...
I think it's blown out a little bit, but it's not exactly beef. It's more like hefty competition.
Listen, I think the media is going to take any chance they can get to make a story out of something. You know what I mean? I think that they just found something to finally... report on.
And especially with the Patriots, I feel like every year there's something that comes out within the locker room, and whether it's Belichick versus Brady or Brady versus Jimmy G.
Because I'm telling you right now, if a guy gets me traded, right? Like if I'm under him and he feels threatened by me and he gets me traded and he's like, I don't want this guy here.
You're going to feel some type of way.
I'm going to feel some type of way, and I'm not going to be hanging out with that dude, regardless if it's a couple years later.
So let me ask
you. Even though it worked out on Jimmy's benefit.
That's what I was
It did. But still, I wouldn't be able to hang out with someone that I don't really trust like that.
I look at it differently. If a Hall of Famer is threatened by my potential, I feel pretty hyped.
Because you have more value?
Yeah, that's how good I am.
So the real question is, and I'm not going to ask you this, Doug, because you're biased as hell.
Oh my!
So I'll ask Nando and Eli. The real question is, if you're Jimmy G, would you have rather stayed with the Patriots, waited a little bit longer, and then taken the keys to the kingdom, or go to San Fran and not win a title?
If I'm Jimmy G, I love where I'm at right now. I'm in San Fran, chilling, living the West Coast life.
That contract.
Great contract.
I don't know, man. I think that Patriots dynasty is such a big one that I think I'll pull a Josh McDaniels.
But
Josh McDaniels is just waiting for Belichick to retire to take the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, but the thing is, Jimmy G will never be Tom Brady, and he'll always be in those footsteps in that shadow, and that's a huge cloud to fulfill. So I'd rather do even though Montana and Steve Young, but that's way further down the line. It hasn't been as
There's
recent.
a bigger gap between them.
Yeah, in years being played, where Tom Brady being the successor to that is.
Well, that's kind of like what you had like when Brett Favre retired and whenever Aaron Rodgers came in, he kind of had to take over the team.
Which he did, and successfully,
yeah. I don't know if that would have been the case with Jimmy G and Tom Brady.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the other Kentucky controversy that I want to talk about is
the real controversy.
So for anybody that doesn't follow like horse racing or didn't keep up with the news, there was a clear-cut winner in this year's Kentucky Derby, right? The first leg of the Triple Crown, which was Maximum Security.
Love the name.
Great name.
They always have good names for horse racing.
But they ended up reviewing the footage of the race, and they said that Maximum Security veered into the other lanes of other horses. Didn't touch them, didn't come into contact, didn't prevent them from advancing, but just went into their lane. So the win for the horse and that jockey was taken away and given to the second place horse, which was Country House. So,
wow,
it's tough.
It's really tough because for me personally, the horse and the jockey didn't directly like interfere with another horse, right? Like if he makes contact with another horse, I get that disqualification. But did it really affect the race at all?
No, but I think you gotta go by guidelines still.
Exactly.
If it's in the rules, it's in the rules.
Like, does the jockey know he's not supposed to get out of that lane?
No, yeah, they're. But if you, and I don't know if you guys seen the footage. The footage is, it's not as bad. It doesn't look bad. Like you can see where their legs almost like connect and get tangled up, but nothing ends up happening.
No, I understand, and then that definitely sucks.
I just think it's bad for the sport.
It's bad for the bettors.
Oh, it's terrible for the bettors. It's terrible for the bettors.
Imagine thinking that you just cashed out.
Oh, I can only imagine how many people.
Somebody cashed out. Sir,
you make your purchase on your winnings, and you're like, "What?
I'm out. I'm booking it."
Oh, I can't imagine the amount of people that were absolutely ecstatic because they're like, "Oh my god, I've just won so much money." And then they're like, nah, psych, bro.
Well, the guy who probably voted on Country House, that guy must have been ecstatic because Maximum Security was the favorite going into the race. So if you voted on Country House and you cashed out, congrats.
I can only imagine how much money was lost. I can only imagine.
Oh my lord.
Prayers out to everyone that had to deal with that.
I try when I lose on a $2 FanDuel lineup. I'm so upset.
That's literally the equivalent of when Steve Harvey announced the wrong winner to the Miss America.
Max.
Yeah,
that's the same exact thing.
I think that meme's going around somewhere.
So with that said, I think that wraps up everything today, right?
Yeah.
Should be it.
Good discussion,
yeah, it really does. I think we had some good talks. We talked about some things we normally don't. So that's pretty cool for the viewers. Hey, I'm excited.
We got our special guest, Nando, in the house today.
Yes.
I appreciate it, guys.
Very special guest this week.
To be out here with you guys.
And a little, we got a special guest next week.
Ooh,
a little bit of a surprise.
Just a little teaser.
Back to back?
I'm not going to say who it is.
And trust me, it's a better guest than Nando.
Oh,
a lot better guest.
The guest got to live up to the shoes.
That's not hard to do, guys.
With that said, check us out on social media. We'll be announcing the guest later on this week, probably.
And follow, subscribe, share, everything, guys.
Yes.
We appreciate the support.
Yes, we are now on Apple Music and Spotify. Check us out on there. More ways for you guys to listen. Enjoy.
Peace.
Later.
See ya.